We're continuing on Hilchot Shabbat and Chelek Vav of Chatzon Upadia, and the halacha says mutar lingoa bimnorah hadoleket hamunachat ala shulchan. We mentioned that not just fire itself is muktzeh, but the menorah that is the base of fire is basis le'esh, and that also becomes muktzeh as long as anything has been a platform for a muktzeh during the course of the entirety of Ben Hashmashot, of Erev Shabbat going into Shabbat, that item by itself becomes muktzeh as well. And therefore, if you have a menorah with a flame that is burning on top of it, that is muktzeh. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't touch it. You could touch it without moving it. It's not asur to touch muktzeh. It is asur to move muktzeh. So therefore, the menorah, the candlestick, the candelabra that you have, you could touch it, but it is asur betiltul benidnu. Therefore, if you have a chandelier or if you have a menorah that is hanging in balance, and when you touch it, now it's going to move. That obviously is going to be asur to touch. Now, a goy that lights a candle or a light for a Jew on Shabbat is asur for a Jew to use it. This is something that needs a fair amount of clarification because the majority of people may not realize that there are two different parallel concepts when you're dealing with a non-Jew on Shabbat. One is what everyone knows as Amira Lakum, that whatever is asur for you, you cannot tell a Gentile to do for you. Okay, it's not mutar to the goy to do something that you cannot do on Shabbat. But then there is another element of hana'ami ma'ase akum. You cannot derive benefit from what the goy did for a Jew on Shabbat, even if you said nothing. So imagine you have a neighbor, you have a maid, a home that knows that you're going to be learning after Seudat Shabbat until wee hours of the night. You're going to be learning Torah in your study in your office, and the kids have turned off the light, or you forgot to leave it on from before Shabbat. It's pitch dark. There's nothing you can't see a thing. So she has Rahmanut on you, and she goes without you saying anything, goes and flips the switch. Now you have Navayi or Mutar or Asur. Well, I said nothing. So there's no Amira Lakum over here. But still is Asur for me to learn there because that is deriving benefit from a melacha that was done for a Jew. And you're not allowed to benefit from something that was done for a Jew as an extension to the Gezerah of Amira Lakum, because if we allow you to benefit from it, you may come to tell them to actually do it. Hence, it is Asur. Now, this has a caveat. The caveat is, what if I had a desk light or a little night light, so it was enough light that I could read, but it wasn't geschmack. It wasn't light enough. Now it became 5,000 lumen, amazing. Can I now use it? The halacha is yes, because even though that it was very difficult to read, I could have done it anyways. So that's not considered a significant hana because I could have done what I'm doing. Now it became much easier, way easier, but that's not considered a significant difference that you enabled me to do something. You enabled me to do something. I was able to do it. You made it more geschmack. That's already mutar. Now, how about if um, the guy wants to read his own magazine there too, right? She's working. She takes off a little bit while you're having Suda. She's taking off. She wants to go read some magazines. So she goes to the study, turns on the thing, and sits and learns for herself. And then you come and say, you know what, just keep it on. Or just she kept it on anyways because she understood that you also may need it. Then it would be mutar because it's a melacha that was not just done for a yid. It was done for the goy himself and the yid. How about if you did it if he did it or she did it for a group of people, right? There is a hotel there is a Shabbat, whatever it is. There's a hotel, a gathering, and the goy did it because everyone needed it. Now what's the halacha? So the halacha would be it goes after the majority of the crowd. If you have, let's say, 100 people there, and the majority are Yidden, so when they did it for the community, it goes after the majority and will be asur. And if the majority are not Yidden, are goyim, and then it will be mutar. So imagine a Pesach hotel would be a perfect example. If chas v'shalom someone is going to Pesach hotels, right? Sometimes people need it, right? They're not going to knock at it, but you have to definitely make sure that it's kasher. You have a chak sameach, kasher v'sameach. It's a different story. But you go into Pesach hotel, so the program is taking over the entire hotel, right? There's 900 people there. So when the staff of the hotel are heating up water to have it ready for the residents of the hotel, what are they doing it for? Well, the majority. If the majority happens to be Jewish, then you can't. You go on regular Shabbat in a regular hotel, they have this like massive water heaters, right? Nowadays, most of them are instant ready, anyways, right? So that becomes a different question. But if you have the tanks that they used to have, the urns, the large urns that they used to have, if they fill it up, so they're doing it for the majority. Regular Shabbat, you go to a hotel, it's mutar because they do it for majority. Majority is goyim. But if you have a Pesach hotel type of situation, it becomes way more complicated because the majority now are Yidden. It becomes a problem. How about if the goy did it? The majority are Jews, but they benefit from it themselves as well. They want it for themselves, but they're only one person. This is 300 other people and the goy himself. Still is mutar. Because when a goy he himself is a beneficiary, direct beneficiary of it, that is considered the ikar of his kavanah is for himself. This is how human beings are selfish, right? That's how it works. So therefore, but that doesn't mean that you could create their needs. You really need a tea. He says, no, I'm actually fine. He says, no, think about it. You know, you really could enjoy this. I'm boiling. I don't, and you somehow like convince him to have a tea. I mean, obviously that's not. Even though that at some point they chap, you know, that what do you exactly mean, and they do it. So, okay, fine. Roll the eye. That doesn't mean that that's now they did it for themselves. Like they just don't want to be fired. But that's not considered them doing it for themselves necessarily. That's something to be mindful as well. Now, um, this is the sugya of hana'ami ma'asakum. Even if you didn't say a word to the goy, and they did everything completely on their own. Now, he gives examples of it now. Anashim Yisrael v'nochrim shayu b'mesiba achad b'leil Shabbat. If you have Yidden, Goyim in the same mesiba, in the same event on Leil Shabbat and Friday night, ubat nochri v'digner, and the Goy came and lit a candle, a little light. In Rova Mesubim Nochrim, if the majority is Nochrim of Goyim, then it's mutar to use it. But if the Rov are Israel, it's Asur to use that light because Mistama, we assume that he did it for the majority of the people present. But again, if he himself uses it, if you see that he himself sat and is reading in the light of that lamp, the nair that he lit, then it will be mutar because we say that the main kavanah of a person is for themselves. Now, אם היה נר דולק בבית ישראל, ובא נוכרי והדליק בצידו נר נוסף. You had a candle, and the goy now came and lit a few more. Or just turn on the switch, and the whole light is on now. Right? So long as your candle is on, so long as the Jews' candles are still on, and you could have used the light, you could use the ceiling light that he turned on. But as soon as your candles go off, so you don't have it. Your source now. directly and solely benefiting from the melacha that the goy did for the Jew, then that becomes, at that moment, it becomes asur to use it. Now, um, how about im haya medura doleket merev Shabbat one ochri v'osif esim ala medura? If you had a bonfire, you had a fireplace, so you had wood, and now the goy came and put a few logs extra for the Jew, obviously, on Shabbat, right? So mutar Israeli tchamem kireged hamador. You could still warm yourself up in front of that fireplace, so long as the original etzim that you had are still, um, emanating light and heat. They're still there. They didn't turn into ashes. You can still use the medura, even though that the heat is obviously more because of the addition that the goy made. But so as soon as those lights go off, as soon as those um, logs that you had originally are completed, are finished, then it will be asur to sit in front of it, because now you're solely benefiting from the the goy's fire that he made for you. That becomes obviously a problem. Um, by the way, if they lit a candle, or they turned on the switch, or they made a bonfire, so there's light created by fire, by candle as well, obviously. Can I walk in the room, or do you say no? It's asur not to walk in the room because it was pitch black before and you couldn't really walk. So the Marakash says that you can walk if you tubo. That's not considered necessarily a direct hana'ah. But anything else that you could not have done in the dark, you should not be doing in the light that was lit for the yid either. Now, one more halakha. If chas v'shalom, you have a fire that's spreading in the house, and there is hashash of sakarat nefashot, especially the United States of America, especially in Los Angeles, because it's on line of earthquake. The way the houses are built are all, the structure is wood, right? So that has a downside. The chas shalom, if there is a fire, it could spread very, very quickly, very rapidly. Before you know it, we experienced wildfires a few months ago, and in matter of minutes, at some point, in a matter of minutes, complete blocks caught on fire. So that, the fire could be transferred very, very quickly if you have a little wind, a little thing. So fires have to be taken seriously when it comes to consideration for life. And even though that one household could not have any sensitive people, of youngsters or elderly that can't get out on time, but your neighbor or your neighbor's neighbor may have, and that's something to be mindful of. But if there is even a chashash, even a far-fetched um, uh, concern about saving lives, let's say that yourself or neighbors, or they have little kids at home that may be sleeping, or elderly that may not be able to quickly get out, then you could turn it off. Turn it off on Shabbat yourself. Get off, whatever. Take the extinguisher and turn it off. Obviously, you could pick up your phone and call 911 and 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 call them to the scene. Even though you're doing, uh, you could end up doing a lot of melachot, still is mutar. There's nothing that stands in front of pikuach nefesh. And pikuach nefesh doesn't mean that you're certainly saving a life, or certainly there's a life in danger. But even if there's safek that you could save it, or even if it's safek that there is anybody in danger, but it could be causing pikuach nefesh, then obviously you have the heter of a Jew, saving a Yiddish life is a tremendous thing. But if there is no chashash sakara, you're in a stand-free building. There's no neighbors. The house is contained. There's old bricks. nothing's got the maximum is that the house itself is going to burn down, and the contents of it, and every life is out of there safe and not no threat to any life, then obviously you cannot turn it off, right? What would be the heter? It's a loss of money. It's not a loss of life. It's not considered pikuach nefesh. Even though that there's going to be significant hefsed mamon of loss of resources and money, still not going to be mutar. Aval, but mutar chabeto al grama. But you could cause indirect cause of turning it off, because that's not included in the lotase of this melacha. It's only asiyah that's asur, but grama is mutar, like the Gemara says in Masechet Shabbat. Daf kuf kaf. Now, how do you do it? You could put, let's say, bags of water filled with water, right? Garbage bags, fill them up with water, a bunch of them, tie them, and put them around the area that the fire is spreading. Right, this way, the fire gets there, it melts the plastic, and the entire water is going to pour and turn off the fire. Hopefully, again, these things nowadays, if there's any chashash of sakana, you don't want to do these things because the fire goes through the wires, goes through the walls, it catches on ceiling. It's not just it's not so easily controllable with the especially with the material that is used nowadays, especially in Los Angeles. You have to be very mindful of this. Like, before you know it, you until you go to bring the bag and so on and so forth, the rest of the room is completely on fire. Can't even get into the room. These things work second by second. Certainly, every minute is a different ball game. So if there's any chashash of sakat nefashot, you don't do any of these things. Just do it directly. But again, if there's no other heter, doing it a begrama would obviously be considered considered a heter in this case, and that's what you would be doing. Now, how about telling a goy to do it, right? Chazal asked her to tell a goy to do it, even though that you say, wait a second, that's amira lakum. Amira lakum in a place of this level of hefsed, it's not mutar. Why did they ask it? Because when a person is people are very sensitive to their money. A person, no one should know, standing to lose everything in his house. Imagine, especially in the time of Chazal, there's no insurance and nothing, right? If you allow him to tell a goy to do it, he's going to come to do it himself as well. Says the Ran, but you can do the following. You could announce, say, whoever helps turn this off will not lose, right? So the goy that hears this, oh, this guy is worth, $50 million, and he's a generous individual, right? He's very charitable, so he's definitely gonna have my back, right? When I help him, so he's got to run to do it. But when he runs to do it, who is he thinking about? The Jew or himself? Absolutely himself. He wants to gain. So you didn't hire him. You didn't do anything that's asur, but you indicated that they would have a nice compensation as a hakarat hatov, as a sense of gratitude, and therefore they will help. But if you have this, and this is important, if you have sfarim in the house, right? If you have sefer Torah, sfarim, tefillin, mezuzot, all those things, and you don't want them to be burning. For sorach mitzvah, this is already right. Sorach mitzvah like that, you could tell a goy, um, because you don't want it to be bizayor of kitvei kodesh. You could tell a goy to turn off the fires. That's a very big deal because people may remember the first one. Oh, I remember Rabbi talked about filling up bags of water and so on and so forth, right? Before you do that, shalom, it could be serious damage already done. But you can tell a goy to turn it off, or for that matter, um, the indirectly call 911 basically to come turn it off, We would directly tell go to the rough because you want to save the Sifrei Kodesh from the Bizayon. Obviously, you don't want the Sifrei Torah and Tefillin and so on to burn, and that would be mutar. Bezrat Hashem, we will continue the rest in the days to come.